China's leadership is facing enormous challenges. Since taking office, President Xi Jinping has been under pressure to navigate China through a massive economic, political, and social transformation. He says he wants his people to achieve what he's described as the China dream. But are the obstacles so great that the China dream has become the impossible dream? We take a look ahead at the issues that will shape China in the coming year.
Is China headed for an economic crisis in 2015? The economy is weakening, and by all accounts, a new normal is for the slowdown to continue for years.
Zhang Lu is the proud owner of this 450-square-foot apartment in Beijing. The web editor invested her entire life savings and took advantage of easier mortgages in China to buy her first home.
It is very easy to get a mortgage. Any bank will give it to you.
That's because the government is taking measures to help prop up the falling real estate market.
In Beijing and other cities across China, the housing market has started to weaken. And with property so important to China's growth, many economists are worried about how a housing downturn could affect the entire economy.
After decades of rapid development, China is facing its toughest economic challenge in years. Global demand for Chinese goods is falling. Companies are burdened with debt. Real estate developers are building fewer offices and homes, so much so that the country's president has described the slowdown as China's new normal. In 2015, the expectations are for annual growth here of 7%, the weakest it's been since the early 1990s. While the economy flags, the leadership is under pressure to push through much-needed reforms and transform the country's economic growth model to rely less on exports and investment and more on consumers. Part of that shift requires opening the financial system and making markets more flexible, one of the goals of the recently launched Shanghai-Hong Kong Stock Connect. At this brokerage in Shanghai, investors are getting the hard sell on the scheme. The program allows people here to invest directly in Hong Kong, the first time they can trade outside the mainland Chinese markets.
I feel investments in China are opening up, and this gives me more choice, so I'm very happy.
The Connect is part of a broader agenda to reform the financial sector. However, those efforts, including a much-hyped free trade zone, have stalled due to China's capital controls and poor regulation. With the economy forecast to slow even further, concerns are that the leadership could backtrack on reforms, worried about their impact on growth. In the real estate sector, to rein in a potential bubble, the government had put in mortgage restrictions. But with prices now falling, Beijing has called on big banks to step up lending to new buyers like Jiang.
Sure, there are risks involved, but I'm a risk taker.
Risks that Chinese authorities hope stay under control in an economy on an uncertain path.
We spoke to two experts to get their take on the economy. One was optimistic about China, the other one was more worried about what the future holds.
The Chinese economy will be very stable in 2015, and now that the Chinese government has decided to reinvest significantly in major infrastructure projects, including high-speed railway, airports, highways, port facilities, etc., this will help stabilize the economic growth prospect in 2015.
In every case of very, very rapid growth and investment, you reach a point at which it's no longer so easy to find productive investments. And that's when you need a significant shift in the financial system, where it becomes much more sophisticated at allocating credit. The problem is it's very difficult to make that shift. In every single case that we've seen in history, debt starts to grow very, very rapidly at some point. And I think in China, it's clearly understood that we've reached that point.
I think China is at a critical moment. China's globalization is intensifying. Definitely, before President Xi Jinping completes his second term, around 2022 or 2023, China will be the largest economy in the world.
Most financial crises in history have not been caused by external debt, they've been caused by domestic debt. China runs out of debt capacity when credit cannot grow fast enough to roll over all of the bad debts. My guess is that China probably has 3 to 4 years before that happens.